That's the best. Yeah, I always do that too. I always record to the cloud because yeah, something could go wrong with the computer. Or, let's see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
your hair looks lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Well, hello, welcome. I am so excited to have the chance to put you in the hot seat for once.
I'm happy to. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't see it as a hot seat anymore. It's kind of warm at times, but free flowing, heart filled, just love. So love has warmth, so that's okay.
I love it. I love it. Well, oh my gosh, how long has it been? 4 years now since you have been the editor-in-chief of Radiance Magazine, right? Do I have the timing right?
Yes, yeah. So it's about almost 4.5. So it was about April. I took it over when Danielle Marie Hewitt took over. Well, she was closing her Temple of Light spiritual center, which was, I wish I'd known about it in the years it was opening, because I heard so many beautiful things about it. And then I got to visit it towards the end there, got to go to the last fair. And I felt what a warm, beautiful place it was, which obviously was a reflection of Danielle. But its time had just run its course. The magazine complemented it, was sort of an adjunct to that, and was only at 60 or 70 locations compared to 600 now. And it was beautiful. I remember reading an article she wrote about her remembrances, if you will, of Lemuria.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to, because so I'd gotten a message from Spirit, which only happened in this way one time since, which I can share with you later. Do something spiritual for a living. I was so unhappy for so many years, complaining about a job, and a kind of work I was in, and I didn't know how to get out. And finally, Spirit just went, okay, here's a very direct message. And I thought, okay, well, what can I do? I write. I'm a playwright. I've had plays produced in Santa Monica and the Valley, and I thought I'll start a spiritual magazine. And I knew that was the right way to go. And then within the hour, it occurred to me I should check and see what else is out there, because I never got down to South Orange County where Radiance was, and so I'm glad I discovered it. And she'd already closed it. So it took a few weeks for her to respond. She was very busy, and then basically she essentially handed over. Since then, I purchased it and I fully own it, and actually have even a couple partners. Some of my editors are actual partners in it, and it has transformed my life. It's been a magic carpet ride and then some, because a lot's happened to me in the 4.5 years since I started, and that's certainly by design. How could I meet people like you, Donna, James Von Prague, who you did a seminar with? I got to interview the two of you for it. How could I meet people like you, Neil Donald Walsh, all these people, Bashar, and not be affected? Wow, I'd have to have a lot more layers than I did. I had some, but I let a bit of it get through, and I'm grateful for the process, and I'm grateful Radiance Magazine at radiancemm.com has been that vehicle for me, and I hope it allows for a lot of people to also be helped to be guided by these incredible contributors on their soul path, because the slogan is of Radiance, where the soul path is lit. And for the first time, we actually put that on the cover of this issue that's just come out, the September, October of 2021. So,
yes,
so
well,
here we are.
It has been an evolution, and I'm going to ask you to take me through it, but I want to take you back, right? So you hear this voice, do something spiritual, and then this opportunity comes to you, right? Whether you found your way to it or it found its way to you, this opportunity to purchase this magazine. So you purchased the magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yep.
what? And then were you like, holy shit, what did I just do?
At the time when I first made the jump, yes, although I was quite sure that I would be able to make it work. And looking back, and of course, that's where we learn so much of lessons. In the front, before we get to look back, we just have to trust, right? I trust. I trust the universe, God, source, whatever you want to say. And looking back, you get to see, okay, I see how it worked. Oh, okay. And I see even where it was challenging and difficult. And I'm going to say as recently as this February, so that was 7 months ago, there was a moment, COVID was challenging. So this is a free magazine that goes to over 600 yoga studios, health food stores, metaphysical stores, of course, independent coffee houses in Southern California, down from San Diego, all the way up to Santa Barbara, out to Palm Springs. And I'm the delivery guy now. I took it over some years ago to save on costs, and I get a kick out of it. And I make sure it gets to all the right places, right? And I find new places all the time. And I drive at night from about 7 or 8 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning, because that's the only way to get around Southern California. Okay. And during COVID, it was tough. I mean, I got around really well. There was no one on the road, and that's great. But there were less readers. People didn't want to touch physical objects even as much in the beginning. And yoga studios started closing big time, almost half of them in Southern California. Thank goodness they're now sprouting like flowers again and opening up again. But it was tough. And then even financially, I'm like, February was rough. And I finally said to the universe, I said, okay, if I have to surrender to this, if I have to not take out a SBA business loan or something to keep it going, let's not do that. Let's say if you want it to work, if the universe wants to support me, if this is the right thing to do, then let it be. If not, I'm totally okay going from publisher to, retail. Someone sells books at a metaphysical store. I don't know. I don't even know what I would do, but talent booker, I don't know. Anyway, and that surrender was really important in case I had any attachments. I'm sure I did to a few of those things. And then come March, the answer from the universe was, oh yeah, you're going to keep going. We're going to support you. So here it is. Here's people who are interested. Here's people who want to purchase advertising. Here's people who energetically want to be a part of it. And it just started building. And I was glad I got that answer. But sometimes in life, we have to do that. We can't be so attached to things, hold on loosely, right? And that goes for relationships too. And that's happened in a relationship I'm in too. Had to give it up a few times in order to get it back even more in more dimensions. That's another story. Maybe you have some questions about that too.
Well, if the magazine represents, I'm going to ask you for 3 themes. And I almost want you to think about them as metaphors for your life. In what way does the magazine mirror to you themes in your life?
I mean, it does very directly, it does very indirectly, and sometimes it does it totally unconsciously. Maybe that's a 3 answer for you. So directly so for instance, I learned that I have cancer again. I had it 15 years ago, and I have it again, and I'm getting integrative treatment for it. I am getting some immunotherapy and chemotherapy, and I have not met anybody who doesn't have a cancer cure. So if you're watching this and you're thinking of your cancer cure, I may have heard it, I may not have. Send me an email if you want. It's a funny thing, Donna. It really is, but people come from their heart, but I have literally 150 cures. But that said, there was a woman I heard on an interview on Soulology, Todd Medina's Soulology on Facebook. And she led a goddess march on Washington, D.C. And she had the same cancer I had. And she's a healer. So I sought her out. I got a session with her. And then when I learned that she had actually just done a channeling of cancer cells themselves about how they want us to love them out of existence, that their purpose is to be a messenger, that we're not taking care of our temple, and various other messages that I've gotten. I had to read it, and oh my God, I had to print it, and it's in this issue of the magazine. The message from the overarching consciousness of cancer itself. And it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. Even if I didn't have it, I would still find it that way. And I would say my personal truth is that it is the best cure for cancer ever. I'm doing everything I can to embody what it is. It is such a beautiful, loving message And I was so glad I got to share it out there. It is a metaphor, I feel, also for COVID, for other viruses. Certainly love and not fear is going to get us a lot further along the road. To further answer your question,
I just want to mirror this to you for our listeners. Sure. What I'm hearing you say is the theme that you've identified here is love. And the way that the magazine is mirroring this theme to you is with all of these wonderful practitioners who have come forward in their loving to share their loving solution with you in all these myriad of ways that you can heal this illness. And as we know, right, I'm also a cancer survivor. When we're working through an illness of such sort, there's a lot of ebbs and flows. There's a lot of highs and lows. And you've got to love all of it. You've got to love the good times and the bad times.
Totally.
And so as I think about what you were sharing, right, about Radiance, and even just as early as this past February, where that was a difficult time, but you kept loving it, Scott. You stayed in the game with it. You kept bringing love to it and believing in it. And in that love, you, like, I don't know, this is a crazy word, but it's coming, resurrected the magazine once again, right? Like it continues to live and to thrive. And it's like this organism, right? It's this living, breathing expression of your love.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing me back to that. Yes, love definitely would be the main theme. And not just love, but what I love. So she is in there because I consciously put that in there. But someone else who, for instance, had purchased a year's worth of pages to write what they want to write about and offer their services, she's a shaman and she wrote about cancer. I did not know she was going to. I did not know she had it. And then I didn't know the lady on the cover happened to have had it before. She's got it again and she's going through treatment and she's on the cover. So that's very interesting.
That is.
Yeah. And she's come out about that. Yeah. Phyllis and Douglas.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So if the first theme is love.
It's love. Okay.
What are two more?
The two more, as far as a theme, I mean, finding your soul path and alighting on it. I mean, how would you restate that as a theme?
Yeah, finding your soul path. I mean, I think that's a theme, right?
That's a good theme. Yes.
So if you relate that directly to your own life, how have you found your soul path through this magazine?
One of the most direct things, and I know you will relate to this because your husband, Paul Bond, the fantastic, surrealistic, magical artist, Paul Bond, he follows and likes Bashar like I do. And one of Bashar's main things, as others, is follow your excitement. Now, I like follow your excitement better than Joseph Campbell's follow your bliss. Follow your bliss was okay for the 80s and 90s and made us feel kind of good, but follow your excitement, I think, is more tangible, more accessible, because people wonder, well, I don't know what my soul path or my purpose is. I think I have gifts. Follow your excitement. That's the key. Whatever excites you, follow that. Now, there's a couple other rules. He has 3 other rules. One of them is make sure you know the rules of what you're, I mean, I'm following my excitement, even when I'm delivering the magazine out there in the middle of the night to these places. Towards the end of the 6 nights of every 2 months, it gets a little old, but in the middle, I'm just flying. I'm so happy to be able to get this information out. These contributors are sharing the purest, highest vibe content, all in one place that I could find. And I'm just flying, but sometimes I have to come down to earth and go, okay, hold on. There are speed limits usually. And you got to eat right, Scott. And you got to, so I'm like, oh, okay, come on. So following my excitement, but know the rules of the game as well, so that you know what you're working with. That is, when I know I'm doing right. And when I have done that, I've seen and felt more expansion. When I put out more of the content that's in alignment with me, more people reach out to me. So I have more contributors in the magazine. The last issue, someone saw it and he said, you know, Scott, I counsel widowers. I'm a widower myself. I counsel widowers, and I'd love to share that with people. I have a program that helps men become whole again because they feel they're not whole once they've lost their life partner to death, to that transition. And I'm like, yes, please. Plus, he's a happy vegan chef, meaning he makes it very accessible for meat eaters. Says, hey, come on, try little jackfruit tacos. You'll like. So he's got that in there too in the magazine. Another guy reached out to me who teaches mindfulness to the Boys and Girls Clubs in San Clemente and Laguna. And I believe he'll be in the next issue. We couldn't get him in the deadline for the last one. I just have more of, and I met somebody who is a caseworker for addiction recovery. And he's got a year package in there. So we're going to be seeing a lot of him. We're going to be doing some Facebook Lives. And he's so great. He's like, maybe it's not God for that person. Maybe the 12 step isn't right for them. We meet them where they're at and see, maybe it's Buddhism, maybe it's drumming, maybe it's this, it's that. I'm like, we got to talk about this. So all the paths for our soul, all the journeys for wellness, for self-love, I stuff as much as I can in every issue. And like I said, if you can see it at radiancemm.com for free. The digital issue, you can actually sort of flip through the pages, or you can click down on the articles individually.
So Scott, you're such a connector, right? You've been a connector. The moment I met you, this is just who you are, right? It's in your blood.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm answering the question, right? Even before I say it, is that this illuminates your life path by bringing all these people together. Would that be accurate? Does that feel accurate?
It does. I mean, I mentioned I was a playwright before, and I get the idea of putting on a presentation from the time people walk in the door of a little tiny little theater to the time they walk out, what they leave with. And I always wanted to leave people feeling transcendent, feeling elevated, and then some, and just and expanded. And I believe I do that in the magazine. Of course, you got to open it, you got to flip the pages, or you got to go to the website and look. But we also do video interviews like this one. I'm tickled to be interviewed by you. I've interviewed you a few times, and will again. But yeah, there's something also about holding a sacred text, and I like to think Radiance is as close as it gets, because the people who contribute in the magazine are such pure channels. When I say pure channels, a lot of people don't even know they're pure channels. They're just in the mode, in the zone, doing their best work at a high level. And in this case, it's people helping people, usually people advertising in this or writing about what they do, helps other people get to the next level, the next stage of their soul path. So for me, it's an honor to do it. I feel like I'm a facilitator, here's what I feel. If every article was a flower, I wrap them all up, and I'm the guy at the florist with the bouquet. And each issue is a beautiful bouquet, very different. A widower whisperer, he calls himself. A vegan, an energy healer. The lady on the cover, Phyllis Douglas, is an angel channel. I mean, there's so much beauty in each bouquet that is the issues, and I'm proud to deliver it.
Yeah, I love your metaphor. I love that, because when I think about a bouquet of flowers, each of those flowers holds its own expression of the life force,
Yes.
Right? You've brought them all together, and like you said, you're presenting them, for other people's upliftment and enjoyment. Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Well, and can I say also, and also for their work. It's not all just joy and light, and because there's work in this, as we know, because, and here's where the rubber meets the road a little bit. I have a group on Facebook called the Radiance Experience, and we actually print some of that in the magazine. What that is, because Radiance Experience readers and Radiance readers are elevated. They're wise. And I love throwing out a question, maybe even that's got me a little stumped, and seeing what they write about it, what their expression of it is. And it says, your answer may get printed in the next issue of Radiance Magazine.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there's 2 of them in this current one. There's 2 articles that appeared. But it's tough, it's work. It ain't the, you could go to some other sites and, get the feel-good ones of, but I don't mind, and I think the Radiance readers don't mind also getting awkward, uncomfortable, because too often we find ourselves sitting in comfort zones, which are only supposed to be temporary, but we've been sitting, camping out for months and years and lifetimes sometimes. And, and it's important to take a look and get out, because our real growth, here I'm getting out of focus here, our real growth and the real rewards that come from that kind of growth come from that kind of work. And even though it looks hot to the touch, like I don't want to get near it, practice and illumination on these things helps us get through them. And that's what we talk about. And not everybody wants to do that. They don't want to do it, but the ones that do, my goodness, that's where the benefits pay off. That's where real transformation happens. You know what I'm talking about with that. That's the work that you do.
Yes. So I can't resist, because you opened that segment by saying where the rubber meets the road. And I sort of have a third theme that I want to just plant here that I see. That is such an important metaphor, and that's driving in the dark, and you talked about it a couple of times, driving in the dark. So how is being the editor-in-chief of this living organism, where you're curating all of these different expressions of the life force, how is this experience like driving in the dark?
It is, in the sense of if I'm living in the present moment, which we all know is the best place to live, we'll say it a million times a day, but I don't think we do it a million times a day. I know I don't, and I'm working and getting better at it. If you're living in the present moment, which is more important now than ever in these interesting times, you don't know what's coming. And by the way, we're not supposed to. We came here, we incarnated for the ride, for the experiences. So we're supposed to be surprised. And yes, that surprise, and yes, that surprise can be painful. But the more work we do, the less attachments we have, the more things we surrender and let go, the less the pain will happen when it comes. But it will come, but we will get through it. We've gotten through it. I mean, everyone can congratulate themselves on getting to this point right here. You got here, you did it. Yeah. Great job. Now moving forward, we have 2 choices. By force or by flow, they say we are going to expand and grow quicker in these times, more than any other time. And if we can do it by flow, great. Everything that happens, that happened. Okay. That happened. Whatever it is, good, bad, indifferent, just roll with it. But if we insist on holding on, if we insist on making meaning out of it that it doesn't need, we're going to suffer. So I don't know if I answered that question or not. Where were we? Driving in the dark.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, trusting. And in fact, Maria, my girlfriend, even got a tattoo on her back that says "I trust" with a symbol from an artist that we know that channeled the symbol that was very meaningful for us. And such a great reminder. I trust, because it's so easy to go into old programming where not only don't trust, I have predictions for the future. I have thoughts on what happened on the past. And let that go, let it go. Because actually, I don't know anything. And when I think I do, that's part of the by four. I'm holding on and not, surrendering. So let me just, even you, Donna, I mean, we haven't seen each other for a little while. Or anyone, or a parent, anyone we've seen, we don't want to lock them into who we think they are.
Hey.
And think we know what the responses are. I've already been delighted in this interview with some of the things you've said, because they've surprised me. And I can tell you're on your game as far as connecting with your creativity, and it's lovely. It's wonderful to behold.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to go deep now. Are you ready?
Okay.
In the 4 years that the magazine has changed, it evolved, it's grown, it's shrunken, it's grown again. In all of the outer changes that have happened, what is the biggest inner change that you have experienced personally as a result of being the editor-in-chief of this magazine?
I'll say it this way first. I now know who I am.
Ooh. Ooh. That was real. Yeah, that was really beautiful. You know, I'm a truth meter, right? Like I can't avoid the truth, and I experience the truth in a bodily way. So yeah, that was really lovely. That was really lovely.
And I know that means different things to different people. You can say it many ways, but knowing who I am and what my part is, and people talk about oneness. They say I'm one, I'm all. I'm the end of my life. I know the raindrop meets the ocean. I'm one, and it's like, okay, but knowing that here, which is why in this issue there are also 3 articles on the afterlife. And I have found that the more I read about the afterlife, and the ones that resonate with me, like the Afterlife of Billy Fingers, is a book that I didn't know came out 8 years ago, and apparently was very popular in recovery groups and in people who are into the afterlife. It's the best depiction of the afterlife I found. The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. You can get on your Kindle. I reached out. Yeah, and I reached out to her, and she allowed me to print an excerpt. And actually, she even got some more information from her brother who'd crossed over that she's going to give me as exclusive, I believe, in the next issue. So that'll be fun. That she didn't print in the book, that came after the book. And yeah, she wants her to write another book, and I'll just go on a little tangent here. When you're communicating with someone who's in the afterlife at that level, she says, it is so hard to come back down to earth. You are in this field of bliss. You are in such love and bliss that when you come down to earth, it is so friggin' hard. And I get it, so it was very taxing on her to even write that first book. But I find that when, and in my interest in the afterlife and whatnot, it made me want to even get closer to people in hospice. I think I even talked to your husband, Paul, about this. Hospice care, because, and then Daniel Brinkley is somebody I know, he wrote Saved by the Light. He's been on a bunch of panels. He's kind of a famous public figure. He started the Twilight Brigade, which trains people to go into hospice and, how do you say it? Hold space for those people. And you don't even need to hold space that much, because they know where they are and they know where they're going. Usually it's the people who are holding space for them that have a little trouble, but I know I'm good with that. I just feel an affinity, like I could do that. COVID kind of is making that a little difficult, but I still intend to. Anyway, that's another thing that's happening in this issue, aside from channeling. And that's one thing I knew I wanted to talk about this interview. The best thing I could do is share with people what's in the magazine in hopes that they'll pick it up and read it, because the soul path is lit indeed here. And but anyway, I'm going away from your question here. Did I answer it?
I was asking you about the biggest interchange, and you, without hesitation, responded that you know who you are. And I'm going to just leave it there, because I don't know can say anything more powerful than what you have just shared.
And yes, it informs everything I do. I know people can see it, feel it, maybe understand it, maybe not understand it, but it affects every part of my life. It feels good walking my path, and I know I'm walking my path, and I don't deviate from it too much. It's very clear, and that follow the excitement thing is one of the best ways to stay on it. But yeah, I mean, and that's why, Donna, I was saying, when you see, I know you haven't seen this issue yet, but you'll see it's quite different. And one of the things I also did, because I know who I am, I wanted to make the magazine even better, so I just dove into it even deeper. And now that it has all these things I mentioned, it has the column, the posts from that group on Facebook in there, which is the new version of letters to the editor, right? But you can also see the little conversations. You can see where I commented on this person, someone else came in, someone else. It's like this living, breathing conversation in print. I want to make, we all read online. We're all, and I tell people who want to advertise the magazine, practice on Facebook, practice on social media, so that your message becomes clear, and you can, so when you put an ad in the magazine, it will have the effect you want. After you've practiced on social media, right? But I just learned that I just wanted to make it even more and more, and just have this overabundance of energy, beautiful energy flowing out of it. And I want to remake people's ideas of magazine. In fact, I don't even call it magazine. I just say Radiance, where the soul path is lit.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I have it up on my screen right now, and I just want to acknowledge how beautiful it is. Like, it really has, it's come many, many generations over the last 4 years in the look and the feel, and the, what I would now say feels much more elegant, and with an air of sophistication about it, which I love, and very beautiful. It's very beautiful. And it feels first class. So I think that is a great inroad to appealing to people who might be trying this out, for the first time in their life. And, Scott, in the work that I do, I literally am witnessing people waking up before my very eyes, like literally waking up before my very eyes. And
I've seen it. Yeah, go ahead.
You alluded to this earlier, like the vibration on the planet is going up, and we can go by force or by flow, and it's gonna happen. It's an inevitable phenomenon that is taking place on the planet at this time. So what I find is people need information. They're looking for ways to navigate their selves, their life, their relationships.
Yeah.
How have you gotten Radiance into the hands of people who don't travel in the spiritual realms, let's say?
I love that question, because I'm always looking to do that. I think, by the way, here's the latest copy of Radiance. The lady on the cover, she's angel channeler, and we got some articles down here, and the inside looks a little like this. There's some ads. And the answer to your question is, I'm always thinking about that, because there I am with the Shar.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, but go ahead.
And yeah, I'm driving down Beach Boulevard in Huntington Beach, let's just say, and I'm my eyes throughout the night, I'm listening to the Beatles or whatever, and I'm listening to, and I'm looking for the new yoga thing that's opening up. I'm like, but the rent's too high here. So the yoga places tend to be on the side streets, so their rent isn't as high, right? The metaphysical stores and everything. So I have to do deeper searches, but I drop the magazines off at the car washes too, particularly in upscale neighborhoods. They're sitting there. Let me take a look. I just picture, I haven't gone for retail in a Ralph's or an Albertsons or something, because there's a place for that. But when you're, I don't know, you're coming home shopping for your family, trying to grab a rotisserie chicken or whatever you grab, and you're not maybe thinking of your soul path. But on a Sunday afternoon, when you go to a yoga class, or on a Tuesday night, if it's sitting there in the corner, this free magazine called Radiance, you'll either step over it or you'll grab it. And maybe, and I've heard people say it sits in their car for a month or something. And coming out every 2 months seems to be right about right? Especially with the depth and how much breadth we have here. And that's how. Now, the thing is, it has to be an open audience, a receptive. If I just went in there, there's some gyms or some yoga place you go into where they're all about their appearance and it's all about the looks. That's not the vibe. Starbucks does not want this, but the independent coffee houses with those cool little names, Moe's, Java, whatever, they love it. And people sitting there want something different. And this is independently distributed. And so we reach people like that. Now, my latest brainstorm, and I'm going to say it came, is that I'm going to reach out to my spiritual friends and find out, what is a spiritual hub or kind of an open, relaxed, independent place that would allow for radiance that I don't know about, but that's out of the area. And I'll just ship them one of those post office boxes. It only costs like $22, as much as you can stuff in there. And I can get about 70 magazines in there. So I use it for Esalen Institute and Sedona places and all that. So I'm going to put out the call soon of that and find out, because why not? And those are the movers and shakers. And it used to be in Encinitas, when Louise Hay was alive, and then Deepak Chopra, when he had a center down there by Carlsbad, they used to go to these places. But now Louise Hay has transitioned. Deepak went to New York. So I got to find a new place. So I'm putting that call out here now. But all that said, it's okay. This is interesting. There's the woman on the cover happens to be Black. And it just so happens that every security guard, it seemed, that I ran into in the wee hours of the night happened to be Black, like 90%. It just worked out that way. One guy was mopping the floor with the word security on his back. So he was a security guy who also mopped. And by the way, God bless people who are working jobs, and, other people, that whole thing. Love to see people working. We need everybody, all hands on deck. Anyway, but everyone's path is beautiful. So, and divine. But I'm like, oh, by the way, and they're like, oh, who are you? You're approaching me at 3 o'clock in the morning. I scare more people than get scared by me. It's funny. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's a metaphysical magazine. Some people say spiritual, but not religious. And I say, oh, here, would you like one? Okay. And I just see them like looking, and I just walk away. And it's like, I don't know. I get something out of that. It's just, anyway, no matter who it is. And now there was a police officer came up to me. He thought I was putting things in a magazine rack in Laguna, and he thought maybe I'd hit something because my headlights are right there. And he comes up and goes, oh yeah, okay, I've seen you before. Yeah, every 2 months I do this. And he goes, okay, yeah, it's pretty fun, huh? I said, yeah. And I gave him a copy of the magazine. And I looked at it, and he gave it right back. I'm like, okay. So some security people, yes. Some police, no, but my energy, says a lot too. So I'll go with that. So as far as getting people who are, if they're going to the yoga class to get limber, to work out, and they see the magazine, and I like to think maybe there's 1 or 2 titles on the cover, headlines, that'll get their attention, whereas the others won't. So I try not to make all of them so esoteric. One of them is the benefits of moving into an RV full time. Some crazy individual did
about that. The Rejuvenation Vehicle. Tell us.
Oh yeah, that was me. I did that.
This? Yes.
Oh, yeah. but also this one. Do you still try to fix people? That's that's middle of the road. That's not too esoteric. But then what happens to the soul after death by Bashar. So but I want to tell you one more thing before I forget. A universe in 100 words. The reason I wrote that is because in one of the posts in the Radiance Experience group, I asked people, will you write me a story? The story has to be no more than 100 words, which is a little hard when you get rolling on a story.
But I saw all the contributors.
I'm going to tell you, they came forward like you wouldn't believe. And it is one of the most beautiful features I've ever done, because each of these people, and I have one down here and one over here. In fact, I had tons of them. I like writing these, but these, one of them wrote about her newborn baby in such a way that just, I'm like, I'm making that one last because that's the best one. And after you read that one, you're gonna be like, you know, so magical. So I love, and these people have all said, yes, writing about this thing that happened to me or this thing that occurred to me that I made up in my mind was so spiritually gratifying, even to keep it to 100 words. I recommend anyone do it. I think it's a beautiful spiritual practice. And it was a joy to put it in there, and just rounds out the magazine nicely too.
I love thinking about it as a spiritual practice. That's lovely.
Yes. It works. You find, and you can talk about it, but until you do it, that's when you know, oh, now I know. And some people just, they had a weird experience with another human being, and they wrote about it. That's one or two of them. But they gave it a bigger meaning, which we're allowed to do because it's our life, and we can create any empowering message out of things we want to. Better to go that way than disempowering.
So can you share with us a little bit about the partnership, and I don't even know if that's really the right word, with Gaia TV? What is that all about? You know, I love my Gaia television, and it delights me that you guys are, you know, in some sort of a cooperation with them. So what is that all about?
Well, this is the third round of people that I'm working with now, since I began with Radiance. And I didn't know much about Gaia before 4 years ago, but I know them very well now. And of course, you know, we all have our favorite shows. Some don't meet our tastes or match our energy, and some do. And the ones that do, whoo, transcendent, beautiful. I mean, multidimensional. Just you get expanded in ways you're like, oh my God. Do I now have 6 arms? I feel like I do. So, what is that, like Shiva? Now I'm communicating. They have a new group of people in there. This one guy I'm connected with is very in touch with himself, and he's a lovely individual. And we're working out what that partnership's going to be. I'm not the usual. I mean, I'm out there on the streets, getting this out, doing this. So we're looking to create something that's never been created before. It's still in the process of happening. They are advertising the magazine, which is great. And, but we're still working that out. People, you know, different people say different things about Gaia. And I think it's just like any network, man. If you look at ABC or CBS or what have you, there's always a part of it that you just don't like, right? It's not for you. And that's fine. Maybe I see things on Gaia that I watched 4 years ago, but I don't watch anymore. It's just not what I'm interested in. But they do manage to capture a lot of people like Matthias De Stefano, his show Initiation.
Loved every minute of it. Took copious notes. Think he's amazing. Yeah. Want to chat with him.
Yes. Reach out to him. Reach out to him. Hey, you know, it may happen. And I did get to interview him once. Maria and I, my partner, went to his movie premiere. They made a movie about him called The Rememberer, El Recordador. And he is somebody who remembers who he was in past lives. He remembers when he was a creator of universes.
Yeah.
Not to mention being a wife to an Egyptian man in ancient Egypt times. That's a whole other, so incredible. And again, you just have to see if it resonates with you. And if it does, that one pays off.
So you're living a little bit of a nomadic lifestyle. Yeah, tell us about the Rejuvenation Vehicle and what inspired that, and how's it going?
It's going great. My partner and I have moved we took a shuttle bus and renovated it. And here we are in Idlewild. Idlewild is so beautiful. And a lot of people asked about it. So I wrote a post on it on Facebook, and basically I rolled that post over to the magazine. And it's incredible because everyone says it is such a cliche to say how much nature means to them, how nature is meditative and nature is this and that. But and myself, speaking for myself, I didn't get out into nature as often as I wanted to. But when you live in an RV, you get out there, you have more of an excuse to. You walk outside and there you are. And for me, nature meditates me. That's how it feels. It's doing a lot of the work for you. You just got to put yourself there, whether it's on your lunch hour. It doesn't have to be grandiose trail, or, you know, it could be a park. And so many parks are so great and underused. You know, you'll have the place to yourself a lot of times. So, but we wanted to do that because we'd already been living tiny living. A lot of people are into that. You get more conscious of your belongings that most people only really find out about when they have to move, and they have to empty all those rooms, closets, storage. And that's happened to me. And even in this tiny space we moved out of it to move into the RV that we renovated ourselves, there were a lot of extra things. And we do have a storage that we're whittling down. We keep going to it and, you know, getting rid of things. There's so little that you actually really need. It's interesting. And we love it. We go to Tehachapi, we go to Idlewild, we go to Malibu. You learn the rules. You learn when you know, so you don't get that 2 o'clock knock by the police, because you find out some neighbors say, well, you can park an RV in this neighborhood while you're visiting your mother-in-law, but you can't sleep in it.
Yeah. And
the funny thing is, we slept in it for like a week before on another 1 block over, because those neighbors were cool, but there was some neighbor, you know, but I get it. It's all you learn. And during the heat wave, we did come. In fact, I'm in the mother-in-law's, you know, I say mother-in-law, we're not married. We are married to the universe, just saying. But it's nice to have a room like this to do recording, because if we're outside, you know, gardeners and whatnot can disrupt an interview like this. But it is amazing. We love it. And we love it also because we took a shuttle bus. So it's cheaper to buy a shuttle bus. Apparently what we've done with it has increased the value 2 or 3 times, but we're not going to sell. We're going to live in it. We had a consultant. We had somebody, if anyone is interested, you reach out to me. I can tell you some people who can help with the solar panels, the wiring, the water. But yeah, we have this RV. We can move around, and it takes getting used to, of course, and there's a learning curve. But there's thousands of hours of videos to watch on YouTube. When you put in #bus life or shuttle bus life or schoolies, when people turn school buses into homes, it's a gas. It is so fun. And we knew also for our relationship that it was going to compress us even more, because just like those things you can't hide in closets and for too long, when you move out, you got to bring them all out. Well, when you live in a smaller space, your belongings and your mental belongings, your baggage, there we go, it gets squeezed more, and it can't hide. It cannot hide. So it comes out. So you will work. You will get closer to that person. And yes, you may break up with them. They say that when there is a higher rate of breakups for people who do this sort of thing than in other ways. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say I'll bet some of them, if they kept working, they could have gotten there. And I'm going to say I'll bet some of those people were not meant to be together, so that's why it needed to end. And this just brought it to a head.
It's all perfect.
It's all perfect.
Wow. Scott, it's been just a pleasure to get a peek into your world and to hear you answering all these questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to share about that we didn't get to talk about before we close our time together?
In the beginning, you mentioned something about we were talking about a little bit about what you do. And I just want to say to people, you know, one of the important things I did was have a discovery session with you. And this is something you offer a few times a month for free to people who inquire with you and who it seems to be the right fit. And for me, I think I did it a second time, like a year later, or a year and a half or something like that. And I was so glad you allowed me to do that. And it was so helpful because you're obviously a great listener, and I love what you did with the themes in this conversation, and being able to reflect back people's themes in their life is very deep and holistic. And being a good listener is, I think, 70%. of what a life coach like you does, a spiritual life coach, a business life coach, business coach. And I would recommend anyone watching this to send you an email or a note and say, hey, do you have any of those discovery sessions in October or what are we in September? So I recommend that. And that was very helpful to me. You were always very helpful and gracious. You were my first interview with Radiance Magazine 4.5 years ago.
I remember. Yes. And I hold that dear to my heart as well.
Me too.
I hold that dear to my heart. And I was in Pines Park yesterday. We were talking about parks. I had a Reiki session in Pines Park yesterday, and it was brought to memory the time that we had met there and had our first interview. So it's.
And I know you're going to be. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say congratulations on the beautiful growth that I have witnessed, not only in Radiance, but also within yourself, Scott, the way that you show up so open-heartedly, so full, so present with everybody that you come into contact with. You are a blessing. So thank you.
Thank you. It is so much more fun to show up that way and do that with fewer walls, fewer things. It's a blast. Everyone should do it. Let go. I know you know what I mean. And what else I would say is, if you know of a healer that you want to support to be in the magazine, you want to take out a quarter-page ad for them, or you think there's some connection they'd have with the magazine, or someone you know. If you want to know where it is in physical form, you could email me and I could tell you if you tell me what city you're in, where it's called, you can go pick up the physical one for free. My email is radiancemageditor@gmail.com.
Brilliant. Well, Scott Ware, thank you very much. It is always my honor to be with you. Thank you to everyone who has been with us watching this video, and to everybody who picks up a copy of Radiance Magazine or sees it online at radiancemm.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. This was great. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
A wrap.
Yay. Oh, was that